So, on Facebook, when somebody says, I talked to my attorney, and if I post this disclaimer on my thing, they can't use any of my information.
Yeah.
You've heard that one?
Yep.
And it's absolutely ridiculous and stupid.
Facebook can't steal or use anything without my consent, and I don't give consent, and
So stop doing that shit. It doesn't work.
it's not true.
Eating chocolate causes pimples.
Oh, I have heard that.
Yeah?
I have heard that. Is that at all credible based off of like your body chemistry? Or
It is
that...
not credible. It does not cause pimples.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Not even in the slightest.
Not even in the slightest.
Well, I'm about to have a lot more chocolate than I used to
Don't
eat.
do it. X-rays increase the risk of cancer.
Oh, I've also been concerned about that. Thought that one was a little credible as well.
This one is listed as false.
Like, not at all.
Does not increase the risk. They wear the lead suits.
Yeah.
So the argument, it's obviously saying that it's not credible. It does not increase the risk, but they're afraid of something if they're willing to put
they wear
the
lead suits. They try to not take too many. If you've had some recently, they don't want to do any more for a while. I've always gotten the sense that people in the medical field were concerned
It makes
about
sense
that.
though if your body's being penetrated by those frequencies that it's not a good thing. Whether or not it increases the cancer risk, that's debatable. I feel like that one we could push back on, but as of on this list, it's not factual.
And is it any different from like other imaging, like MRIs or CT scans?
Well, MRIs would be magnets, so that's not penetrating the body with. Well, I guess it's still considered a frequency, but again, not a cancer-causing.
Or even like in the airport when they do the body scan in the airport.
That's going to be the same as Okay, a penny drop from the Eiffel Tower will kill you.
Oh, I've heard that. I don't know. How tall is the Eiffel Tower?
Well, use the Sears Tower. Use any tower.
Any tower. Get a penny. Get that much speed, I guess. It'd have to be like a bullet to your head. That one seems a little extreme. I don't know if I would believe that one.
And this one probably was tested like with Mythbusters and those science programs.
Yeah, I could totally see somebody trying to do that.
They say that when it's dropped, it's more likely that the object hits against the building and never is able to reach anybody. They couldn't get it to actually come to a target to see. But because a penny doesn't weigh a whole lot, there's almost so much velocity that a penny can take. And so it would hit you and it might hurt, but it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
I think as a kid, you just thought when something falls, it just keeps going faster and faster and faster until it is a bullet. But that's just not how physics works.
Yeah.
All right. Goldfish only have a 3-second memory.
Oh, I've heard that too. I have no idea. If there's any validity to that or not.
Incorrect. Goldfish do not have a 3-second memory.
They get a bad rap.
Okay, this is dedicated to my wife because I lecture her this on a regular basis. Turning the thermostat up higher will increase the rate of heating.
Turning it up higher will increase the rate of heating.
So you're in your car and it's 2 degrees outside, so you turn the thermostat up to the reddest of red or the highest numbers you can put will cause it to heat up faster.
Rather than just turning it up a little bit. Well, I'm guessing not.
Because I give her lectures on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is incorrect.
Incorrect.
That is myth.
Good to know.
Mice love cheese.
How would that have... I feel like mice can love cheese, but they can love a lot of other things.
Yeah, mice will eat freaking anything. So cheese...
So then there technically is some truth to that.
Well, it's saying love, and I don't know that anybody's ever asked if the preferences of the mouse, whether or not they would have love grains or peanut butter or cheese. When I said a mousetrap, I've used peanut butter.
And that worked?
It does work, because it lasts longer, and they do eat it, and it makes them sit there a little bit longer.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be cheese.
All right, different parts of the tongue detect different tastes.
Ooh, I have heard that. Like, one area is salty, one area is sweet, one's bitter. I have no idea. Is that
Myth.
true? That's a total myth?
That's a total myth.
Oh, Interesting.
Okay. Let's see.
Have you ever done, real quick, have you ever done the experiment where you put a saltine cracker in your mouth and you don't swallow it and you wait to see it go from salty to sweet?
No.
It's pretty cool. You should try
Really?
it. Yeah, it works.
Deoxygenated blood is blue.
Oh, I've heard that too. Because everyone's like, oh, that's why your veins are blue. So just now thinking this, I feel like there's no way that can be true because people have different color veins. Some are purple, some are blue, some are green, but we all have the same color blood, do we not? Mm-hmm. So that can't be true.
That is inaccurate.
That is inaccurate.
Yep. How about shaving causes hair to grow back fuller and darker?
Oh gosh, I've heard that too. I've heard lately that is not true. I still question it, but I've heard that it's not true at all.
That is untrue.
Untrue.
How about this one? If you touch a baby bird, the mother will reject it.
Oh, I've heard that too. I don't know. I hope it's not true.
It's not true.
Okay, good.
The baby bird will not be rejected if you touch
Yay.
it. How about water conducts electricity?
I have heard that. I feel like, isn't there some truth to that?
This is a trick one, and I'll argue this one because it's not the water that's conductive. It's the minerals that are in the water. So if you take just water itself without dissolved something else, then it is not a conductive material.
Oh, I did not know that.
Learn something new, right?
So it's not like you're going to, I don't know, stand in a puddle and suddenly increase your chances of being electrocuted. It's what is that puddle made up of?
Exactly. Salt water, probably more conductive than just distilled water.
Good to know.
Tricky.
Good to know.
Okay, cracking your knuckles causes arthritis.
I've heard that that's not true.
It is not true
Okay.
whatsoever.
Good.
Sitting too close to the television will make you go blind.
I don't think it'll make you go blind. I feel like it's probably not good for your eyes, right? I mean, I think looking at any electronic too much is probably not good for you.
That is true. Yes. You're right.
I'm so smart.
Masturbation will cause you to go blind.
I have heard that one too. I'm going to say that's got to be false.
Yeah, that's totally false.
Yeah, so now everybody can take off the rest of their afternoon
and rub it out.
have at it.
We only use 10% of our brain.
Oh, that's another popular one. I feel like that's not true. I mean, obviously these are myths, so they're all not true, but I feel like that one can't be true.
Different parts of the brain do different things, and the likelihood that you're going to be activating all of those things at one time. So the data is that you're only using 10% of the capabilities of your brain at any given time. So that makes sense.
Is that true?
10%, yeah.
Of the capabilities.
Of the capabilities. Because you wouldn't be like processing visual and auditory at the same time. You wouldn't be, if you took like a snapshot of brain activity, it's not just a solid activity blob, right? They're different pieces and parts as you're stimulated.
Interesting. And are there ways to stimulate certain
100%?
parts? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think the
or
body...
even almost 100%, like things that you know are not typically stimulated on a regular
Now,
basis.
I'm not going to say if you did that, you would die, but it would not be a pleasurable experience.
To stimulate more of your brain than you're used to.
Yes.
Why?
The brain uses most of your energy, and if you used it all, like your perceptions couldn't handle it, your processing couldn't handle it, you'd be overwhelmed. And think if you can get overwhelmed with 20% usage. If there's too much stimulus around you, just think of what 100 would do.
Yeah, so those people that, they're having sort of that sensory overload, it would be like that times...
A million.
Yeah.
Well, not a million, but
Interesting. That would be interesting to see.
How about carrots help your eyesight?
I have heard that. I don't know. I feel like that would be a stretch. I feel like I saw somewhere they busted that.
They do not. They do not help your eyesight.
I had heard the eyesight is not true, but there was a myth that eating a lot of carrots will turn your skin orange. And I saw some show, they said there's a little bit of truth to that. If you eat a ton of carrots, you may actually start to see a little bit of change in the melanin in your skin or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to try it.
Well, we spent a lot of time on this show talking about truth versus non-truth, and that we get really annoyed when, some people, politicians or people of power, don't tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
And we are swimming in things that are untrue every day. And even some of the people, or some of the things on the list, some people will defend as being something that is truth.
Yeah.
So when, we're just swimming in a world of information, and regular people trying to figure out what is actually true, when we, like I said, since we're swimming in so much of it, and we're okay with some of the untruth, and other times, like, we don't want untruth at all, right?
Yeah.
And so, I can see some of the strategy in that. So, like, if you're going to go blind, if you masturbate, right, and a parent or whatever didn't want you to masturbate, they would connect it to something they didn't want you to do and say that thing's going to cause a, bad reaction.
Yeah.
Okay. So if same thing, and this one wasn't on the list either, but if you go out in the cold, right, you will catch a cold. Right?
Yeah. If you're like wet in the cold or something that.
It's not how science works.
Yeah.
But I can see if it's like, I want my kid to go outside and wear warm clothes, right? So telling them, if they don't do the thing that I'm asking, I'm going to lie to them and tell them that something bad is going to happen.
And I think too, we've also talked about things that are untruthful but have just the slightest air of truth to them that make it easy for people to believe. Like if you're wet and you're cold, you're going to get sick. Some people might argue, well, being wet and cold in general is not going to suddenly have you catch a virus. But can being wet and cold temporarily inhibit your immune system, making it easier to catch something in that state? What do you say to that?
Yeah, and it makes sense. So, like, if you follow, and we waterfall stuff out here, so we like, okay, take it and take that to its conclusion. So if you go out in the cold and you lower your body temperature, and then your body reacts to the lower body temperature, and it goes into like a survival mode where it's not thinking about immune system, but putting all of its energy in the core organs so that you don't die.
Yeah.
If it got to that extreme, I can see someone, catching, but being outside, viruses don't like cold either. Like they really don't.
They need like warm,
moist. What you need is warm. There's your word. Warm, moist, and lots of food, things for it to eat. So if you're out there licking the ground, right, that's more likely. Kids doing stupid shit while they're in the cold is more likely than just walking around and viruses that are clinging in the air.
Putting their hands in their mouth
But that's your seed, where there's a 0.00001% of getting a virus while you're out in the cold, but it's not because you weren't wearing a jacket. It's more likely you were doing dumb shit.
But it's those little things that, like, if it were this, kind of like the mouse liking cheese. Well, if mice will eat just about anything, then you could say, well, then they like cheese. And
if you're gonna waste a morsel of food to trap a mouse, whatever you have access to, whatever's cheap, whatever will sit there long enough, like, you're not going to put something that's going to dissolve in 3 hours because then you haven't let it sit there. So it probably was a good bait, right? But now there's probably better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's just, I think, a little bit of validity to something to make it believable, even though it's technically false.
Yeah. And in a sophisticated society, so we got the worst of both worlds. Like, we're swimming in information, and we're super sophisticated, right? And we're really good at wrapping justifications around things that are untrue and making them present as something, not necessarily that we're presenting as factual, but I want to control your thoughts about something. So I can wrap it in a lot of things and make you feel something that if I just gave you the vanilla truth, you wouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we're living in is marketing more than it is, just data.
Absolutely. This just popped into my mind. Have you heard the one, you don't shower during a thunderstorm? Have you ever heard that?
I may have. Yeah.
I think that one is in relation to being electrocuted or something. You're in the shower and there's lightning. Somehow that's going to go through your house and zap you because you're in water. I don't know.
That's wrapped up in a fear. I mean, are there safer places than in the shower during a lightning storm? So let's just say you're in the shower. You've got plumbing that's wrapped around you as it's bringing the water to you. And then you being like, lightning sort of like takes a path where it is grounded. Mm-hmm. So while you're standing in the shower, you are hardly the best target to ground, that energy into the ground. It's going to follow your plumbing down into your grounding stake or some of your electrical system or whatever. You're not its first target. But would you take the risk that somehow it's a big enough strike to let you feel it, zap you a little bit? I don't know. If you have a choice, shower later.
How about like a swimming pool? Do you get out of swimming pools when there's lightning?
I think I do. Yeah. Well, I don't know that. Yeah. I think if in a public pool, they get everybody out of there.
Yeah.
And I think it's not necessarily because you're in a pool. It's almost like golf courses where if you're in an area that doesn't have a higher object that will attract the lightning, it's flat and open. And then you sticking out of the water might be the high point that the lightning might choose. That's a more, more likely.
Yeah. Reason for that. New fear unlocked.
Yeah. And should you stand near a tree, like you're on a golf course? Should you stand by a tree in case it'll choose the tree over you? Well, the problem is the roots are going out, and if you're standing on the tree and it gets zapped, you might be part of that little connection, and I wouldn't stand near trees either.
But I mean, in regards to the lightning looking for a high point, what's safer, standing by a tree or standing with no trees and being the high point?
I would stand away from the tree, just far enough.
Maybe lay down.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Maybe lay down if you've got nothing higher around you.
Yeah. Sit in your car. That would be a better bet.
Yeah, yeah. And then they say if you're in your car and your car gets struck, what do? They say don't touch it, right?
Because it'll ground.
Yeah. And if I swear I just recently saw something about someone getting out of their car and they touched the sides or something. They didn't jump out and they were electrocuted by it. I can't remember what was actually happening to the car.
I do want to put a little asterisk. We are not making health advice on what you should do in these scenarios. We are just having a conversation about it.
We are not experts.
We do not know what, we're put in a position like what I would do if I were in that situation. And that's the extent of it. Whether it be successful is still on you as the listener.
Disclaimer. Here. We need like scrolling across the screen. Disclaimer, not experts.
Absolutely.
Just play them on TV.
So how do we get it? It's going to ratchet up over the years, and the next generations are going to be even having a harder time as what we are pretending that is true right now will become the myths of the next generation, and then they'll create their own myths as well. Mm-hmm. Before you know it, there are things that people believe in for important things that they're totally subscribed to something's untrue, only because nobody has the time of day to poke a hole in all of the things that people believe that aren't true.
Yeah.
And they're constantly generating new ones.